Welcome everyone. Our today's topic is about theories of evolution. Okay, so I hope you all know evolution. So what is it? So evolution is a gradual or slow changes occurring in any living organism over a long period of time or for a long duration. So this is the evolution, and today we are going to study the two different theories related to the evolution proposed by two different scientists. Alright, now this is from lesson Heredity and Evolution, and this is part 4 video of this lesson for class 10. Now let's study theories. Okay, now theories of evolution. So student, there are two different theories of evolution proposed by the two different scientists. First theory of evolution is the Darwin's theory of natural selection, and second theory is a theory of inheritance of acquired characters, or it is also known as the Lamarckism. So Darwin's theory of natural selection was proposed by the Charles Darwin, and next theory was of scientist Jean Baptiste Lamarck. Okay, now let's study these two different theories. Alright, so first theory is of Charles Robert Darwin. Okay, and second theory is about Jean Baptiste Lamarck. And the Charles Robert Darwin, this is an English biologist, proposed the theory of evolution, and he showed that and second theory is of Jean Baptiste Lamarck, and Lamarck proposed that the activities of the organisms are responsible for their evolution. Okay, so it is about activities of the organism which are responsible for the evolution. And whereas in Charles Robert Darwin theory, he showed that all the species of living organism have been gradually evolved. Okay, that means they took a long duration of a time for their evolution or for their changes over the period of thousands of years from common ancestor. And he proposed that the principle of natural selection is responsible for this evolution. And whereas in Jean Baptiste Lamarck theory, this is a French naturalist, proposed that each animal or plant undergoes some changes in its lifespan, and those changes are transferred to the next generation, and such changes occur in subsequent generations too. It means the acquired characters by the ancestor are transferred from one generation to the next generation. So this theory is Lamarckism theory. Now let's study these two theories in detail. Okay, now first let's study the Darwin's theory of a natural selection. So what is it? Student, the Charles Darwin had collected innumerable specimens of plants and animals. Depending upon the observation of those specimens, he published the theory of a natural selection, which preaches the survival of the fittest. Okay, now this theory tells us about the survival of the fittest. Now what does it mean, survival of the fittest? That means it does not mean only the fitness about the organism or strength of the organism, but it tells the ability. That means the organism have the ability to survive in any of the environment or surrounding, and those organisms which are surviving, they should be reproduce their young ones. Okay, just to continue their generation. So this is a survival of the fittest, meaning of survival of the fittest. And for this purpose, Darwin had published a book titled Origin of Species. So in this book of Charles Darwin, the origin of different species and about the survival of the fittest, all the theories are given of the natural selection. And while explaining the concept, Darwin says that all the organisms reproduce prolifically, and all the organisms compete with each other in a life-threatening manner, and in this competition only those organisms sustain which show the modification essential for winning the competition. However, besides this, natural selection also plays important role, because nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and the rest perish. That means only those organisms are selected by the nature which can be survive and reproduce in their surrounding environment, and those who does not shows these characters for surviving in any of the surrounding environment, they will be perished. So this is a natural selection theory of Darwin's. Okay, now next we have, however, beside this, natural selection also, okay, sustaining and selected organism can perform reproduction. That means those organisms are selected by the nature, they perform reproduction and thereby give rise to the new species or young ones with their own specific character. So this is how the one characters are transferred from one generation to the another generation by means of a reproduction. And next we have, Darwin's theory of natural selection was widely accepted for the long duration. That means this theory of evolution had been widely accepted for long duration, and however some objections were also raised against this theory, and some of the main objections are, so natural selection is not only the factor for evolution. That means this tells us about that only the natural selection is not responsible for the evolution, for the gradual changes of the living organism. Okay, so there are some different factors are also there. So this is a one main objection of Darwin's theory. And next objection is, Darwin did not mention any explanation about useful and useless modification. Like we have studied the vestigial organ. Okay, so in the Darwin's theory, the vestigial organ, like the organisms or organs which are useless to particular species and useful to particular species has been not explained by the Darwin's theory. And the third one is, there is no explanation about slow changes and the abrupt changes. As we have know that evolution is a slow changes, so a gradual process. So in this theory, the slow changes and abrupt, that means sudden or the changes which are sudden and unexpected, has been not explained by the Darwin's theory of natural selection. So student, irrespective of all this objection, Darwin's work on evolution has been a milestone. That means this is a widely accepted theory of evolution. Okay, now our second theory of evolution is the Lamarckism. So student, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck proposed that morphological changes occurring in living organisms are responsible for evolution, and the reasons behind those morphological changes is activities or laziness of dead organism. That means this theory tells us about the morphological changes occurring in, morphological means their changes in their external structure of the living organism or any of the species. Okay, so the morphological changes occurring in living organism are responsible for evolution. Okay, and the reason behind those morphological changes is that the organism or species is using a particular organ, or it is not using particular organ. Okay, so if the organism is using particular organism, that is responsible for the evolution. Okay, and he called this concept as a principle of use or disuse of organ. That means the organ which are useful that undergo the evolution, and the organ which is disused by the organism or not using by the organism, it will be not undergo the changes. So this is a Lamarckism. Further, he said that that means the examples of the theory is that the neck of giraffe has become too long. Why? Due to the browsing on leaves of tall plants by extending their neck for several generations. That means the neck of giraffe, it is too long. Why? Because the giraffe has to browse the leaves on leaves from a tall plant. That's why its neck of the giraffe is become long. And next examples are, similarly, shoulders of the ironsmith have become very strong due to the frequent hammering movements, and wings of the birds like ostrich and emu have become weak due to no use. That means the ostrich and emu birds are not using their wings. So that's why for this reason their wings become very weak. Why? Because they are not using their wings. And next example, legs of the birds like swan and duck have become useful for swimming and useful for the swimming due to living in water, and snakes have lost their legs by modification in their body for burrowing habit. That means the duck and swan, legs of the ducks and birds like swan and duck have become useful. Why? Because they are using their legs. Okay, and snake are not using their legs for burrowing habit, so that's why they become degenerated. And acquired characters, that means all these examples are types of acquired characters and are transferred from one to another generation. That means the characters, the organism which are organs which are in used, okay, acquired characters are transferred from one generation to another generation, and this is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters or Lamarckism. That means the organs or the acquired characters which are useful, that only transferred from one generation to the another generation, and this is the theory of Lamarckism, or we are also called as a theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Okay, now next we have the development of organs due to specific activities or their degeneration due to no use at all was widely accepted, but transfer of those characters from one generation to the another generation was rejected. It means that Lamarckism tells us that the organs which are useful, these only that means the organs which are in used, they only undergo development, okay, and the organs which are not in use, they are not undergo the evolution, only this is accepted, but transfer of those useful and not useful characters from one generation to another generation was rejected. And next is because it had been verified many times that modification brought in us are not transferred to next generation, and thereby Lamarck's theory was disproved. And the living organism can transfer the characters which it has acquired to the next generation. This is called ancestry of acquired character. That means the acquired characters are transferred from one generation to another generation. It is called as the ancestry of acquired character. That means from ancestor the characters are transferred from within the new generation. So this is ancestry of acquired characters. So student, that's this is all about this video. I hope you all have understood the two theories of evolution, and next part of this video we will continue in our next session. Thank you.